et dans l'école. Alors l'éducation, c'est pas uniquement l'école, mais si on parle de l'école, qu'il y ait de la place pour les questionnements existentiels, eux aussi spirituels, à l'école, sans que l'école donne des réponses. C'est-à-dire qu'il y ait un peu ce que tu disais tout à l'heure, Isabelle Pelloux organise des discussions entre les enfants à l'école et qui touchent des questions qui sont existentielles et aussi profondément spirituelles. Le rôle de la spiritualité dans l'école, je ne sais pas, mais le rôle de l'école pour ouvrir à la spiritualité, c'est ça.
I would like to add to that there is an innate spirituality in the process of evolution. Unless you take a purely scientific, materialistic perspective and say it's all done by accident and physical laws, when you look at that 14 billion year story, what I see at the core of it is spirit in action, is implicate order. And I think spirituality comes when you get touched internally by that universal impulse in such a way that it awakens your unique, creative yearning to express who you truly are. And that, however it happens, if it happens at school, if it happens outside of school, what it does it turns the spirit on inside you. And it's not a religion, I call it the impulse of evolution. But it's divine. And therefore, I would think what Cyril said, what you said is exactly true, but I would add the new evolutionary mystery story of creation that you're part of. Because when a person feels they're part of something awesome and great, toward a future that has deep attraction in it, toward something, not only to get over something, but toward something that attracts you, you can turn on genius so deep that it's astonishing. And my own sense is, what I realized in being here and seeing so many of you, and realizing when I got started in school, I couldn't get one single answer to any of these questions at school because they never heard of it at Bryn Mawr College or where I went, because the evolutionary impulse had not even been known. Now, if I could make a suggestion along with the inner impulse of spiritual impulse of creation, of more consciousness, more freedom, more creativity, would be the fact of finding out what's already working toward a world that works for all. If you take an old Buckminster Fuller phrase, I don't know if you're familiar with this phrase in France, but he said, we need to discover an operating manual for spaceship Earth, because it came without an operating manual. That must mean that we're supposed to find out how it might work. And we are finding out how it works. In health, in education, in economics, in new energy, in every field. So combined with activating the impulse of creativity within us that might call a universal impulse, to find out what you're most creative about and then get examples of models that are already moving in that direction, so you're not carrying the load of a failing world, you're also carrying the load of an arising world. And if you could, therefore I think that this kind of conference needs to come together to find out what's emerging, what's creative, and how do we co-create. And I think it's not only the children that need that, I think we all do. Thank you.
Quelles sont les valeurs universelles qui animent l'élévation de la conscience? Parler de valeurs universelles, s'il vous plaît.
I'll just go briefly. the universal values, I believe, are discovered from witnessing 14 billion years of nature's capacity to select for, this I got from Teilhard de Chardin. He put it simply, he called it the law of complexity consciousness. As systems rise in complexity, they seem inevitably to rise in conscious awareness, in interiority or love, in freedom, and in capacity to create. So if you take the values implicit in the story of evolution itself and say, let's make them more obvious and articulate. I want greater freedom, greater capacity to express, greater capacity to create, greater capacity for freedom, like you say, for children. I think it's innate.
I'd like to just follow that, Barbara, because I feel that impulse that you're beautifully describing, inherent in that is love. I feel love is the driving force of our universe, because it's as many bumps and crises as we go through. If we look at it, there's fundamentally a forward motion, and it's, again, I feel that the inherent one of the values is love. I think it's a very powerful one. I think a second value is creativity. It's a value, the love of innovation and the drive for innovation. And I think part of education, just going back to the question of tools, is I think it's perpetual development. When we awaken to this evolutionary impulse, we discover a capacity and a desire to evolve. So it's
yes, it's the heart's desire to evolve.
I'll start with the previous question and see if there's some small connection to what you just raised. For me, I speak for myself, I'd like to go back to a point that Antonella raised, which is a sense of the religious as bringing together, binding together, connecting with not only with others, but with the world and so on, but a sense of binding together. I think she used different words, and that was my sense of it. So, whether we use the word spiritual or religious, to me it's not to belong to any sect or particular organized religion, but the sense of bringing together. And for me, that means not being caught in the dichotomies of being or becoming, all kinds of dichotomies that we normally frame the issue in, even transcendence, immanence, transcendence. But it's in a way to start at a point when we're not framing these issues in dichotomies that sort of create a debate which is based on words and concepts, but not on a kind of real ground. So to go back to Amin Muzia, when they did this thing of the spelling of alors, beaucoup, and what was the other one? Écureuil. One way to do it is we say that we need to actually find a way to help them slowly build and reach a point when they can make complex sentences. The other is just to look around and then find the words to express what might be straight from just observation and watching and paying attention. So from paying attention, then we find the words. So we can actually connect those and say, alors, il n'y a pas beaucoup des écureuils ici. Okay, so, but the first impulse is not to find the vocabulary and progress in some sense of building knowledge, but actually just watching. So for me, the watching is what is religious or spiritual. Whether it's watching the world, watching oneself, in the sense of watching and questioning.
Je voulais juste ajouter une expérience en tant que chercheuse, et puis lorsque j'ai eu l'opportunité de faire ce livre, j'ai cherché des livres sur les écoles innovantes. J'ai trouvé des expériences éducatives qui sont, on peut dire, du point de vue de la pédagogie, extrêmes, qui sont basées sur la totale confiance dans l'enfant en tant qu'être humain avec un potentiel d'évolution formidable. Et là, je ne vous parle pas des nouveaux enfants, les enfants cristal, les enfants arc-en-ciel et les enfants